Yeah.
Ma'am, congratulations on the season two of
Thank
The
you.
Broken News. It was an
Thank you.
excellent season two. It was a good, uh, it was really like a really follow up, a good follow up to the season one.
Yeah.
And
Did you enjoy it?
I actually enjoyed. And Z5 Global has done a great job. I mean, even you have done a great job.
Thank you.
And ma'am, my first question is like in the OTT space, like there are so many like movies and shows, they do like a caricature version of, what the news channels are.
Yeah.
So how do you make sure, especially like your performances, how do you make sure that it doesn't get caricaturized like from your end? How do you make sure
I,
that doesn't happen?
I think that's the writing of the show. I mean, Broken News, even if you see the season one, and that is
Yeah,
completely Vinay sir and Samvita writer, they that the tone that they took was very real. It's also the first season, if you see Press, which was the BBC show, which was the original,
correct, correct,
it is
correct.
very real. Of course, Press didn't have a season two; it didn't do that well, but Broken News has, and so we have a season two, which is quite
Yeah.
original because it's not based on anything. But the characters move forward. But I would say that the the beauty of the show was that it was so real, that it was so believable, because
Absolutely.
uh, what this show shows is the human emotion in the newsroom, and anywhere, be it a boardroom, be it a set, be it a newsroom, they're human beings. And what are those emotions, and what is it that we all go through phases where we make certain choices, either we are stuck with it or we regret that we didn't make a choice, but that's what it is. And sometimes there's some reason for a choice, sometimes it's uh, there's always a layer to it, there's always a reason why we as human beings make the choices that we make. And I
Yes.
thought that this show was showing that very well. It touched and caught all the human emotions so well. They were so real and so believable, because that's what happens. Nobody is perfect. Yet
Correct.
there are gray areas in everybody. Now, what is the level of gray, and why is that gray there? Um, that is what all the stories are about, and that's what Broken News is about. It's real. I love the fact that I could get my parents to see it and explain so
Yeah.
many things that are happening today by showing them this story. And they were like, oh my God, is this what happens? And, so I just, this is what I love about this show, that while it is real, it shows the human side, it is relevant today. It's not something that's not relevant. It's something that's very relevant, and it's relevant to global audiences. You can anywhere in the world, and what we're talking about is so relevant globally.
And the topics also picked up by the writers. I mean, they're really relevant topics, like something which is going on, which is a
Yeah,
subject of
yeah,
discussion right now, even in the news channels and social
yeah,
media. And yeah,
yeah. I think that's what social media has done. It's kind of democratized, the whole the way information is available. And so there's nothing that is like, oh, this is what is happening, and you somebody else can't understand it. It's very what would you say, India centric or something. It is just so global, and it's so it could be happening anywhere in the world. And I would say, why it could be, it is happening in various
correct.
countries and all over the world.
Yeah, absolutely right, ma'am. So, ma'am, I wanted to ask, like, this is the next question. What were your point of references for playing, Amina Qureshi, because you come across as the yin to the yang, and so what was your, point of references for that? Yes.
So I think my point of reference was the script, because it's written so well, and when you go through it, and when you're kind of going into the character, the conversations that I had with my director, I think that was what it was. It's a bit from various places. Also, if you see, if you're real, and like when you met, the first thing you mentioned was that how real the show was. That if you want it to be real, then you need to understand and feel that person, that human being. What could the choices be? What could the reasons be? What is the background? So once you go into that, the character gets fleshed out, and then it's not about like somebody or not like somebody. It's more its own character. And that's what I think Amina is. I think Amina is a mixture of different people. And yes, there is a huge part of me in Amina also, because that can't be taken away. And a part of actor always gets into is there's a layer of yourself in the character always, because that's what, when it is real, that's what it is. There has to be that for you to, when you believe in that character, is when you can get the audience to believe in the character.
That's actually really like nice. That's a nice way to put it. Could you like relate to Amina at some extent? To some extent.
Yes, of course I could. As a woman, I do relate to her. I relate to the fact that there are many things that I relate to. I relate to her, her equation, what she feels, the her relationship with Pankaj. It's such a beautiful relationship, and yet it is so gray. It's so wrong. And this is Amina, who stands so much for the truth and for the right and all of that. And here she is in her personal life, in what the world can easily call wrong. And that, I think, is the beauty of this character, or for all the characters, because that grayness is there, because that's how we are as human beings. We are not perfect. We are always in a process of forming, because we are learning. And I mean, you look at that relationship that I'm talking about, with Pankaj. If you look at that relationship, I mean, how would that have happened? What was the thing? Is it the late nights, the loneliness? She's of a certain age. What is it that could have got them together and got them close? And yet, there's certain amount of, while it is so wrong, yet you can't blame Pankaj, nor can you blame Amina, nor can you, I mean, blame the wife. It's just circumstances, and it is so sad. And the way she deals with it. So there's so many things that you can identify with. Amina's relationship with Radha, especially in season 2, when Radha is completely going
Yeah.
off the rails, and
Right.
Amina
You guys were like
loves
north
Radha.
and south, yeah.
Sorry.
You guys were like really north and south in the show, in the second season of the show.
Yeah, and first season you see how close they are. For Amina, she sees herself in Radha. She is the mentor. She loves her, and yet, I mean, I always say that, what would you tell your child if the child was going on a wrong path? Would you, because you love the child and you don't want to be harsh to them, would you just let them go ahead on the wrong path? No, you
No.
would want to stop the child, because the love is so much. If you truly love a person, then you will not want them to go on the wrong path. You will want them to make the right choice. So I think that's what Amina is doing, and that relationship is so beautiful also. Look at her and Dipankar's relationship. In this season, you start with Amina and Dipankar finally coming face to face. A really subtle scene, but so real, and so many layers to it. Just those lines, they give you so much of history. You can make out what
True.
is the history between the two of them.
True.
And it's so amazing that that history is there between them. So yeah, all these things make it believable, real, and fun to work on.
Work on. Because Dipankar and Amina are so different, but somehow there is a respect between both of them for the
Yeah,
job they do, for the work they do. So that's why they get to
we
like
did,
speak to
we,
each
we
other
did
and
hint
face
at
to
it.
face at some point. Yeah.
We did give a hint about it in season 1, where she says that, at one time, when Amina says that the
Yeah.
bunker used to be like this.
Yes. Yeah.
And we do mention that, and then the party so it's somewhere, when you've been team and you've been friends, or colleagues, seeing that happen is heartbreaking.
True.
So definitely, and that's why when she says, when she's left with no choice, when she goes to the bunker, it's literally like the last thing, and she says, that's
Right.
something that I don't want to do. I have no choice but to do that. And that also shows you the extent to which that she cares about Radha, and what's happening to Radha, and how much of a turmoil she is in, that she does go to him. And
Right.
then she's willing to keep everything aside, and when she's telling him that, like, just let it be. I mean, look at what you were. I remember you like that. And she's appealing to that, the softer side to him, in a very subtle way. And then when that is not working, she just goes back to being Amina and says that, boss, sorry, I
Yes.
earned. Don't think that I got it because I'm this woman, and which I identify with. Again, when you ask me what is it that I identify with, as a good looking woman, you're always, the first thing people, the conclusion people jump to is that you didn't work hard for what you got. And that's
Yes.
so not true, because you're working damn hard for it, and you deserve what you've got. but you're made to feel guilty about it, and you're made to feel that you got it because you were lucky, because you had the looks and stuff like that, which is so unfair. And I get that, I understand that, but a lot of women go through it, and I think
Yeah.
most women go through that sort
Oh,
of a,
yes.
thing. All working women kind of go through that, so I identified with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ma'am, the next episode, oh, sorry, the next question is, every episode ends with Faiz Ahmed Faiz's poem, Bol ke lab Azad hai tere.
Yeah.
So I kind of, it kind of gives you that feel, after end of, after every
Yeah.
like episode ends.
So I haven't seen the series yet.
Okay.
I
Because,
haven't seen it yet, but but I saw the first two episodes, and I loved what Vanessa has done with it. By putting that in, it just keeps that. It's so true to the series. Those words. It's
yes.
just amazing, and you're right about it. It takes you through that, and you want to go. The thing that the reaction that I've got most
Hmm.
from people that I've not been in touch with for years, have reached out and said that we couldn't stop. We wanted to after two episodes, we wanted to after four episodes, but we couldn't stop. And all of them have come back saying that, my God, it is so understandable. It is so understandable. And a lot of people who are not in media or not in journalism or not in newsrooms have come back and said, my God, we didn't know this happens in newsroom. Again, when it's like being an actor, you're in front of a camera. In the same way, journalists get a byline, get that photograph, or in
Correct.
front of the camera on TV,
Yes.
and people think, oh, you're made up, da, 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 da.
Yeah.
Everything is hunky-dory and it's also easy. They
Done.
don't understand what are the struggles behind the timing, the deadlines, the pressure. And it's so easy to say why you're doing it,
Yeah.
but it's so difficult. There are EMIs to be paid, there are bills to be paid. How do you live? That's your job. How do you live? If you don't deliver, you're going to be out of the job. These are all real life choices. And there are so many people who have reached out and said, we never knew this. We never knew this. So I'm glad we were able to put that out in this series.
Yeah, it is, and it's very realistic. I mean, that's a good thing that it's very realistic. Ma'am, so I'm done with my set of questions for you.
Okay.
And it was absolutely an honor to speak to you, ma'am. I've grown up watching you, so it's an absolute honor to have
My
you.
pleasure entirely. I wish I could have seen you, but
Yes, yeah,
yeah,
I wish
some
I would
other
have seen
time
it.
we
But
shall do
yes,
that. Yeah,
someday,
thank
someday,
you.
yes, ma'am. Thank you
These are
so much.
really nice questions. So
Thank
thank
you.
you for